Peace, my loves. My name is Tay, and I am the creator of Dear Life Chat. I am your favorite sound therapist and storyteller. Dear Life, what can we chat about today? How many of you are coffee drinkers? I want to start this story with telling you about the night I drank 2 large cups of coffee back to back and why I did that. So the year is 2014, and I have 2 sons. At the time, they were first grade and fifth grade. Now they are 21 and 18, which I still can't believe that. But they were both at the same elementary school in the first grade and fifth grade. I picked them up from school, took them to their favorite restaurant, which at the time was McDonald's. We don't eat there at the moment, but at the time they were in love with McDonald's. So I took them there. I helped them with their homework, got them their chicken nuggets, French fries, ice cream sundaes, cookies, Happy Meals, got them whatever they wanted, helped them with their homework, they ate dinner, and then I let them go play on the McDonald's play area. Now, as they're playing, because I'm letting them play for as long as they want to, because I am secretly trying to figure out where we're going to sleep this night. So the boys play, and I'm letting them play so long because I want them to get so tired that as soon as they get in the car, they go to sleep. So they get in the car, I zip their jackets up, put their hats on, I throw some blankets on them, and then I go back around through the McDonald's drive-thru and I order 2 large cups of coffee because I know that at this moment I'm terrified to sleep in the car. So I was like, well, the next best idea is to just drive around all night. How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna stay awake and alert? Drink coffee. So before we get out of the McDonald's drive-thru line, the boys are asleep. They are knocked out in the back seat. And if you know anything about Atlanta has this interstate called I-285. Now, I-285 is just a big loop. It goes around the entire city. It doesn't lead to a new city or a new state. It's just one interstate that goes directly around the city in a big circle. So I get on I-285 and I just drive all night. And the reason I did that because I was terrified to fall asleep in the car and someone see me and the children and, they call Child Protective Services on me. So I was just like, well, we can't have that happening. So my next best option was to just try to stay awake, girl. So I started sipping this coffee and I drove all night. And then the next morning, the sun is coming up and I'm like, okay, so let's stop at Walgreens or CVS so that, we can brush our teeth and wash our face. And my son, my oldest, woke up first and he looked around and he was like, did we sleep in the car? And I was like, yeah. Now, before I tell you what he said next, let me tell you what happened prior to getting evicted. So I got evicted, before that I had lost my job. I had a full-time job, lost it, and I had just burned through my savings. And before getting evicted, I had lost the cable. So all I had was a DVD player and a bunch of DVDs. And the boys became obsessed with watching The Pursuit of Happiness. Now, this is not a kid-friendly movie, I know that, but they were obsessed with Jaden Smith. So the movie stars Will Smith and his son, Jaden Smith, and I think they were just more excited to see another little black boy on TV. So they watched this movie all the time, and I did not know that the universe was preparing us for our own pursuit of happiness that was shortly to come. So we're back in the car. My son says, did we sleep in the car? I said, yes. He said, are we like Jaden and his dad in the movie? And I was like, yes. And then he paused and he said, oh, well, it's okay because it's a happy ending at the end of the movie. And I was like, okay, yeah, that works. So, of course, all night driving on the interstate, I'm just like overthinking, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna explain this to the boys? Because I knew they were gonna wake up and I was gonna have to take them to school. And I was just terrified of what that conversation was going to look like. But it was already taken care of. So that was the only time in a 6 months of being homeless, that was the only time we discussed being homeless. So fast forward 6 months of being homeless. I've lived in every shelter in the city of Atlanta, in my car. When I had money, because I started doing little odd jobs, and then eventually I got a job, but it was only part-time. When I had enough money, we would go to a hotel, but for the majority of the time, we were either sleeping in the car or in different homeless shelters, which it's not easy, but we survived. So the reason I titled this video Intentionally Glowing, because I've told my story before. I've even had a video up on YouTube before that was titled My Homeless Story. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be known as the homeless girl, because over the years, I have completely rewritten my narrative. I'm not that girl, and I am not my circumstances. I'm not my past. I am just out here intentionally glowing. I'm your favorite sound therapist. I'm a storyteller. I'm the creator of Dear Life Chat. I'm out here helping people intentionally transform their lives. So where does all of that and sound therapy come into the mix? Because this is also how I got into sound therapy. This is the other part of the intentionally glowing storyline. So fast forward a year and a half after, life is good. I got a house, full-time job. We just out here thriving, And my body said, no, you not. So I started having panic attacks, and my heart would be beating out of my chest. And I just could not understand why I was having so many health challenges and ailments, because my life was good. And it took one doctor to ask me, was I stressed? I said, well, no, not at the moment. And he said, well, when was the moment? And I told him the story. He said, oh, well, that's what it is. So he said my body was having a delayed reaction to stress. I said, okay, well, what do I do now? And he said, you got to figure out a way to manage this stress, girl, but I'll help you out. I'll give you a prescription. So at this point, I've had probably 5 or 6 prescriptions, and I'm like, I don't want any more pills. So I started YouTubing and Googling ways to manage my stress, and meditation came up, and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna be sitting crisscross applesauce meditating now. So I started meditating, didn't like it, but then I was invited to my first sound bath, and I was introduced to singing bowls, and I fell in love. And I kept going to more and more sound baths, and I just felt myself just getting better. My body was relaxed, and bought my first singing bowl. Now I own 32 singing bowls. It turned into a slightly healthy obsession. I taught myself all about sound therapy, and I know now that there's a frequency for this, there's a frequency for that, there's a frequency for anxiety, there's a sound frequency for back pain, and there's just so much to learn about sound therapy, which is why I love what I do, because I'm a full-time sound therapist now. I eventually resigned from my day job, and I've been in business since 2021. Well, on paper since 2020, but full-time in business since 2021. I've had over 2,000 clients, because I just want to help people transform their dear life so y'all can be out here intentionally glowing too. So that's my story, and that is the narrative that I have designed for myself, intentionally glowing. So it doesn't matter what your circumstance is, what your past is, what you've been through, your current environment. You can change your narrative, and you can live your best dear life. Now, it's a lot of different ways. I'm just saying sound therapy might be one of those ways to go. But more than anything, pay attention to your body. Your body's always going to talk to you and let you know when something's wrong. And, be intentional so you can intentionally glow and live your best dear life. Peace, love, and light.